Hello, Blizzard fans! This is FalconPaladin coming to you with yet another daily Blizzard upload. This is a game between MarkSpector and HeartOfStone on Terraform, the latter edition. This was sent to me at FalconPaladin@gmail.com by MarkSpector asking for advice on this game. So, I'm going to cast it while providing advice to MarkSpector. And based on the fact that he asked for advice, I have no idea if he wins or loses. So those of you who hate spoilers, I hope that satisfies you. Alright, in the top left of Terraform, the latter edition, we have the red Zerg player. It is MarkSpector. And in the bottom right of Terraform, the latter edition, we have the blue Terran player. It is HeartOfStone. And again, I think this is about a bronze level play. So this could be an educational thing. We did actually go double extractor trick here into 16 harvesters, and now up to 16 out of 14 total, now making an overlord as well. So this is something, from what I have seen, there goes the spawning pool up there, and there goes the overlord getting the gas next. So one thing I could recommend, Mark, is going ahead, and you can feel safe to go 15 hatchery down here at this expansion before anything else. Just at the 15 workers up here, go ahead and get a hatchery, wait for the 300 minerals, send a drone down, get it here. You can do that extractor trick to get to the 15 that you need, and then go ahead and get that 15 hatchery. I like the way that you automatically went and got the 3 drones into the extractor here, but then at that point after the hatchery, then go ahead, get your spawning pool, get your extractor. If you're feeling very safe and very confident, get the extractor first, then get the spawning pool. Getting the spawning pool first can be fine if you're worried about early Reaper harass, or some early pressure coming from the Terran player, but in this case, it looks like we actually went command center first. Wow, Heart of Storm is going expansion first into supply depot, into refinery, into double refinery here. So this is another tip I'd like to give. I do like that you go ahead and get a hatchery here at about the 20 supply mark, so that's very good, but again, against Terran, you can be very safe actually getting the hatchery first. Anyway, so this Terran player is doing some crazy stuff. Now getting the barracks, now getting the supply depot, but it's about 2 minutes into the game, another barracks coming up. So one thing you can do, I like to send a drone out. So send a drone scouting out all the way across the map. You know where your opponent is because it's a 2-flyer map. Get on up here, get up into the main before this wall off happens. You could have gotten here before the wall came if you sent the drone out as soon as the game started. At that point, you would see this command center. You would recognize the double gas here that's coming out from the Terran player, and you would say, okay, I can definitely 15 hatch. I definitely don't have to worry about any aggression coming from this Terran for quite a while. And then just drone up, get queens out, don't even make any lings at all. A couple lings is nice, 4 lings is probably as many as you want to make if you haven't seen anything from the Terran player yet. But yes, sending these lings out, making them active, probably going to go ahead and try to harass the Heart of Stone's command center here. That would be a good choice as well. Just basically going full barracks here. The Terran player is not interested in getting any factories, even though there's a lot of gas. So at this point, you do have an overlord. I would send the overlord up here to this high ground and just see if there's a single barracks and a bunch of factories, or if there's another command center or what. But I like the way that these Zerglings are harassing this. You could probably pull the lings around and try to kill that SCV, but no, actually forcing a liftoff. That's perfect. I mean, that is something that you would love to do as a Zerg player, is lift off that command center. Exactly something that makes every Zerg happy, is preventing that additional income from coming in. I love this. Sending the overlord in to scout here, see exactly what's going on. See, we are going for a mass barracks play, which tells you you'll probably want banelings. You'll probably want lurkers as well. Go ahead and don't worry about this marine. Exactly. Just send this right on in for the full scout. And see Marauder coming out there. You see the command center coming back home. Meanwhile, getting evolution chambers, that's very nice. You have 27 workers compared to the 21 here. You do want to get a queen on your second base, though. It looks like you forgot to get the queen on the second base. That's going to give you additional larvae to spend on units and workers later. So definitely get that second queen. And at this point, because you saw the third command center, you can obviously, I guess maybe not obviously, but you can definitely take a third base as well. Look how many minerals you're floating here, 600, 700. Part of that is because you don't have a queen giving you additional larvae on this base, and part of it is because you don't have a third base yet. You could spend 300 of those minerals getting a third base. These lings should really back out, and they do. Your reaction time's a little bit slow there, but that's okay, no big deal. Got the ling out of there, kept him alive for that scouting purposes. There's a small ball here of Marines and Marauders. You can handle this with lings. That's something you need to know. This small number of Marines, of Marauders, you can handle with a group of lings. Maybe about 12 or 15 or so is enough to kill these with really little to no problem whatsoever. And I like that you have speed. That's excellent. Getting the +1 attack for the melee is also very good. And do you have any gas here? Yep, you got gas coming here, no gas there. And yeah, so I mean, at this point, the macro hatch is a good choice. I like you're getting a macro hatch, 2 macro hatches. All right, so you recognize you need to spend that money, which is really smart. So getting a macro hatch is good. 2 is probably overkill. I would put this hatchery down here at this 3rd base, or possibly here at the 3rd base. Just be aware units can come back here and try to kill you, so that's a little bit more risky of a situation. So getting lings and getting banelings, this is probably overkill for what you saw. I mean, you have a whole lot of lings here and 4 banelings against effectively 4 marines and 2 marauders, so maybe a little bit of an overkill play. Those could be workers. You're up 24 to 23. You've kind of stopped on worker production, which is not great. 12 is not enough here. You probably want 15 workers here, so 15 out of 16 is what you want. Same thing down here. Keep making drones until you have enough to make this happen. Make 15 out of 16 happen. Take a 3rd base as well. So excellent placement for the Overlord. Sees the push coming out. That's excellent. Very, very good. Recognizing that they're coming to get you. At that point, you can actually start to make your lings. Your lings pop out very, very quickly. This is a lot of banelings for what's coming your way. Slow banelings also aren't that great. I don't like making a lot of banelings until I have a lair, until I have centrifugal hooks upgraded here on my baneling nest right here to make them faster. But at this point, even these lings alone could just get a wraparound on this entire group and annihilate them immediately. Send out Cena. Look, the Terran player is making a 3rd command center. So at this point, it is 3 base Terran, even though this one isn't really mining to a 2 base Zerg. You want to have 1 more base than your Terran opponent. So definitely do that. Sitting here on the top of the ramp are these units from Heart of Stone. And yeah, so MarkSpector here, again, making more and more banelings. This is just a lot of gas you don't really need. I mean, yes, the baneling connections were pretty good there, but look at how many units are left. These could all be drones. These could all be drones, and you would be just fine. Just fine. Right now, 33 to 29 harvesters. You should have closer to 50 or 60 harvesters based on how little pressure the Terran player has put on you. Again, no queen on this base is just murdering you right now. No queens here. These guys are not rallied to where they need to go. You need to click on hatcheries that you make and tell them exactly what mineral patches you want them to go to. At this point, probably send them down here. You need to take a 3rd base. Are you doing that here? Yes, it looks like you're going to take a 3rd base here. Finally, at the 7-minute mark, a little bit late, again, considering it is Legacy of the Void. But, yes, taking a 3rd base, I guess, is better late than never. So here is our Terran player. Again, just using the barracks, getting medevacs, pretending like this is Heart of the Swarm, getting tanks. Absolutely no Legacy of the Void units to speak of whatsoever here. So you can probably take advantage of that using Lurkers. Lurkers would be a great choice. They tear through all these units. They also do extra damage against armored, which is what siege tanks are. So that's something that can definitely benefit you as a new player. Evolution Chamber, getting upgrades. I love this. You're not queuing up upgrades. That's good. Some newer players like to click on melee and then click on missile and click on carapace, which means they sit here in these down slots, which means you paid for them, but they're not actually researching until this one's done. So definitely an excellent choice just to have one evolution at a time coming out of these evolution chambers. This one is sitting idle though. If you have evolution chambers, you might as well use them. In my opinion, I do like the Hydralisk Den coming up here after the lair, and now getting centrifugal hooks for the banelings. Excellent choice as well. Can't really argue with that. You have some mutas. That's pretty good. You have 4 mutas. Mutas aren't super effective until you have maybe 5 or 6. And really, mutas are terrible at base defense. If you have Mutalisks, you want them harassing. You want them over here in this mineral line, which is entirely undefended. There are some Vikings here, I guess, but mutas do pretty well against Vikings if they have good numbers. So flying around this backside here, killing a bunch of workers, and then running away across this top section to kill these workers is just an amazing thing Mutalisks can do. If there aren't missile turrets, you'll get guaranteed SCV kills every single time and probably not lose a single Mutalisk. But mutas here that are just hanging out doing base defense, they just die so easily to anything that tries to attack them, especially Marines, which you have seen your opponent has. So, yep, there we go. The mutas are not flying out. I'm not sure if they're going to be aggressive or just kind of hang back and defend. Yep, 2 of them. So, again, you probably want at least 4 or 5 to be super effective with these Mutalisks. Where are their friends? I thought you had more. 4 total. Where are the 2? Yep, here again. It's just a problem with the missing rally on these hatcheries. Making what? Are we doing drop lords here? I think we're morphing these into overlords that can drop. Yeah, look at that. Alright, so these are all drop lords. And again, if you're making those cost gas, and anything you make gas with needs to be super effective. So that's 25 per 25, 50. So 100 gas there to make those 4 into drop lords. And yeah, Alright, that's fine, but again, you need to make use of these overlords. Getting overlord speed makes them so much more effective as well. Right here, Pneumatopized Carapace, 100 gas, which you just barely have now, would be good. And there's your queen, popping out at the natural here at about the 10-minute mark. So again, a little bit late, making queens here as well. This will help you so much, help you spend that money you're having trouble spending right now. This base is up. I love it. You have queens on all your bases right now. Lings, banelings, mutas. You have a good composition against what's going on. There we go. Muta harass. Excellent. I like what you're doing there. How many SCVs did you kill? A couple. So 2 total SCVs have died for two mutas is pretty good. Here comes some Vikings. Again, to deal with Vikings, you can use your queens. Queens do pretty well against them. Hydras do well against them, and mutas do well against them if you have enough. So I think this is actually, yeah, look at this. Muta production looking pretty good right now. This is definitely enough to kill this number of Vikings, so I like that. Terran players getting a lot of gas. Do you see how many refineries there are here? Gas, 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 gas. Not fully saturated on all of those, but look at how much gas he has compared to what you have right now. And here come the Vikings. I think they're pretty much intended just to kill overlords. If they can find any. Spore Crawler, I like the positioning of that Spore Crawler. An excellent choice indeed. Greatly weakening these Vikings that are trying to find something to kill. And there we go. Finally finding an overlord. You could honestly send in your mutas here and kill all those just because they're sitting ducks at this point. But if your mutas are going to be spread out, they're even landing, making them easier to kill. So good job bringing the muta in there, and then they lift off and try to run away. But again, mutas can chase them down. There we go. Killing off one of the Vikings. Are we going to get another one? Where'd your friends go? Oh, here they are. Yeah, so I don't know exactly where your attention was right now because I don't see anything else moving. Oh, are you doing a slow drop at this point? It looks like you are. Yeah, you definitely want this Pneumatopized Carapace. Increases the movement speed of Overlords a great deal. If you want to have drop, what you can do is move the Overlords over here before. But, yep, this is a small group of Marines and Marauders. That is not going to happen for the Terran players. Small group. Bring your whole army over. I mean, if you're attacking, might as well have everybody available, right? And, yes, there we go. So right now it's 142 to 99 supply. You're looking very good. Might have overmade banelings here, though. Might have done that. That is a lot of banelings, and for sure that is great. But the problem with banelings is once they explode, they're gone. So they hit like trucks, but once they explode, you don't have any more. You have to remake them. Zerglings are good because they continue to attack until something else kills them. Their attacks do not cause them to die. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. This is a lot of Vikings, though. I have no idea what on earth the Terran player is doing here. Just going mass Viking against a Zerg player seems like a weird choice. At this point, you've stopped making anything. Look at the production tab. Nothing is coming up for you right now. You are supply blocked, obviously, but you're not even making overlords to get out of the supply block, which is a huge problem at this point. Lings are patrolling. Are you patrolling these guys? You are. All right. So, I mean, right now, you could kill this base. 13 banelings can kill a planetary fortress. And is there a tank? There is a tank. Unfortunately, there's a tank rolling on in with the banelings. And, okay, so you use the banelings actually to kill the workers instead of the planetary, which is okay, I guess, because you're going to pretty much wreck the third base. There we go. Some mutas come in to try to deal with the sea tank, but then they get distracted by everything, come over in range of this bunker, and all of these mutas are going to die without really accomplishing much of anything. Unfortunately, all of these Vikings drop in the back here. Sending back Lings to deal with this would be great. This queen actually dies. Gotta replace that queen as soon as that happens, because queens are just so important right now. Again, attacking here. Planetaries do really well against Zerglings. And here comes the repair. We're probably going to save this base as well. Overseers getting killed by missile turrets left and right. And yeah, more Lings coming on in. Finally, I think we're going to be able to kill these Vikings. Good liftoff, though. Recognizing what happens. Let's see. 18 drones have died in this game for you, which means most of them were from here. Pretty much they all died. If there's an attack from Vikings back here, just run your drones away. Run them to a place the Vikings are not. Yes, they're not mining at all, which is a problem, but you're not going to lose them either and have to replace them. So keep that in mind. That is definitely a tip that you're going to want to do if you're playing StarCraft 2 against a Terran player. So yeah, back here it looks like the Terran player has pretty much stabilized. You got a good repair off. So one thing to keep in mind is if you're going to attack a Terran player, make sure you can kill them. You can't really cripple a Terran player because they can just use mules, not in this particular patch, but In later patches and in previous patches, they can just use mules to create those workers that they lost. And right now, see, look, it's 22 workers to 32 total for you. So you're ahead, but not as much as you possibly could be. This is totally mined out right now. It's only one mining base for the Terran player, so you have them contained. So generally, if you want to actually kill a Terran player, you need higher tier units than just Lings and Banelings most of the time, especially if they have a planetary fortress. Those things could be Ultralisks. You could upgrade to a Hive by getting an Infestation Pit from a drone here, now that you have the lair, and then upgrading the lair to the Hive, and then getting the Ultra Cavern. And yeah, here we come. The Lings come on in. They wipe out that ground army, but man, this planetary fortress is having a field day. Using the Banelings to actually crash into the planetary would probably be a better idea there instead of... Yeah, so Banelings can actually do enough damage to get through the repair on the SCVs. If you just roll 13 Banelings into a planetary and they'll explode, it will explode, even if there are attempted repairs from an SCV group. So keep that in mind. That was a lot of Banelings that died, a lot of gas that was invested. The other thing is, Zerg really needs gas to be great. So definitely get this other Vespene Geyser. I guess maybe died, I don't know, but definitely get these Vespene Geysers as well, and these ones. You have a lot of mineral income, which is nice, but you need to make additional drones. I know you're afraid of attacks that are coming. This is a huge group of Vikings. I don't know that I've really ever seen this from a Terran player before. But maybe in these low levels it's more effective because, yeah, basically you need Hydras. Hydras do great against Vikings when they're in the air or when they're on the ground. And you had the Hydralisk in for a while, which was nice. But it's gone and you haven't really reproduced it. So here we come. Giant Viking ball swooping on in, taking care of all of these overlords. Unfortunately, going to supply block MarkSpector here. Yep, 67 out of 60. Taking down an overlord that is full of Zerglings as well. No, just very sad to see. You throw on Spore Crawlers, which again isn't a great answer just because the Vikings can land next to them and kill them. They're very versatile that way. Here comes the land. This is enough Vikings to take out your queens. Both your queens are going to die. I'm going to say all three of your queens are going to die. You have a lot of mining stuff, but these Vikings just might actually wipe you out at this point, which is very unfortunate indeed. Another queen dies. Production is greatly reduced. 37 out of 36 supply. Supply blocked. I like that you're making overlords to compensate. But at this point, I think once you saw the number of Vikings the Terran player had, you just wanted to go Hydralisks. That was the answer. They didn't have enough for a lot of tanks, which would cause you trouble. There are a few tanks, but not a lot to bring up for the attack. Hydralisks in place of a lot of those Banelings probably would have helped a lot. Unfortunately, these guys spawn, try to run to the safety of the Spore Crawlers, and no, actually does kill a couple of Vikings. One of them lands with 2 hit points. Here the Lings come out. I think these guys will be enough to maybe clean up this attack. And yeah, so it does clean up the Viking attack, so that's great. More Vikings are being produced though. This is crazy. This Terran player loves their Vikings. I like the saturation here. Could definitely use a couple more drones here, and this base, yeah, maybe a couple more workers at the same time. So expanding here might be a good idea. 34 harvesters is pretty good. Heart of Stone, you're lucky that they didn't expand during that attack. That's something that good players will do, is if you're attacking, expand behind it, because it means your opponent is focusing on defending so hard, they're not going to go out there and try to kill your third base while their second base is under attack, right? So definitely do that. At this point, I know I have the same thing. When I'm panicked, when I'm under attack a lot, I just make a lot of Zerglings, which maybe isn't the best composition against everything Terran can throw at you. So I like the queens. The Terran player, again, not producing anything right now, which is a problem for them. I like that you're replacing the queens on all 3 of these bases. That's great. Definitely keep that up. Take another base, though. Take 2 more bases if you can. Save up the money. Don't worry so much about Banelings and Zerglings here. I know you're worried about a big attack coming your way. Still making these overlords without the... Oh, you do have the upgrade, though. Okay, so they're faster now, which is nice. But I don't know if you're planning on dropping the Lings inside the base here, which might actually work pretty well. If you could drop them here, I don't know. That might be a good idea. We'll have to see what goes on here, though, in this game that I haven't watched yet. So here we go, loading up. Again, what I like to do is send my Lings over here, send the overlords over here, then load them up, then drop them over, not send them across the map, especially because they're Vikings out. And if the Vikings intercept your overlords and smoosh them, that's going to be a bad news timing for you. Yeah, so either way, moving on out here with a bunch of Lings and a few Banelings, you know there's a planetary fortress. And the problem is this number of Lings can't kill a planetary, this number of Banelings cannot kill a planetary. You can deny bases. I love this timing here. That was amazing. Taking out a tank. Also, preventing the third base from going down. That was some good game sense. I'm not sure if you could tell a third base was starting to come up by the Terran or not, but regardless, that was amazing. Well played. Here comes your small troop of, what is that, 8, 16, 24 lings coming across here. Now the question is what you do with these lings, because if you try to land them here, this planetary is going to kill them. Oh, and there's a Widow Mine too. Widow Mine attack. I'm going to try to kill this planetary with these lings, with these banelings. The banelings roll in and kill a lot of SCVs, so that was pretty nice, but the repair I think is probably enough to save this dude. It's going to be super close. No! Hey, look at that. Got the planetary fortress. I was wrong. That was enough lings and enough banelings to do that. So, excellent play indeed by the Zerg player. Again, but when you're attacking, take another expansion. Make more and more drones. At this point, you have a much bigger army than they do. We are moving out, though, with some tanks and some Vikings. So, a fairly formidable force. But lings aren't going to do great against that at all. The whole idea of Zerg is that you want to drone up when you can. And as you drone up, good job with the lings here. Drone up so that you can make a giant army for exactly what is coming your way when it comes your way. That's fantastic. Don't try to attack up this ramp. Whatever you do, do not try to attack up that ramp. I mean, getting the missile turret is nice, but running away is also good. Here we go. Dropping. The tanks are going to kill this queen. The lings are going to try to get in there. That's good positioning by the Terran player. I'm not going to lie. That's amazing positioning. And at this point, you decide to go for it. So here's the thing. Lings are basically put into a meat grinder at this point. With all these tanks, all these Widow Mines, you're not going to get up this ramp ever in the history of the world. Nope. Alright, so that's lesson number 6 or something that I'm going to share in this cast today. Lings are not good at getting up ramps that are walled off. They just are not. They are super bad. And here we are, taking out everything here with the Vikings. More and more lings in production. Again, lings are tier like 0.5 units. They are good, they are fast, especially in numbers, but you want roaches, you want hydras. If they're not going really heavy bio, the ling baneling attack isn't probably the best choice if we're going to be honest with ourselves. You definitely want roaches and hydras to deal with this small number of tanks and this number of Vikings. Vikings just aren't super viable. Tanks are here attacking. Lings coming up here as well. Small group of Marines and a tank here. Tank has 68 kills. Look at that tank. Holy crap. 68 kills, man. That is one impressive siege tank. Attack is still going on here, but the Lings get up close and finally manage to take down the other siege tank. So here you should feel pretty safe. You have the Terran player stuck and terrified on one base. They can't move out because you have Lings. All their Vikings are dead because you have Lings. Make some drones, drone up, take an expansion or two. Your income for minerals is super terrible. I understand that. The Lings come in here again. Upgrades on the Lings. +2/+2 is pretty good, actually. I like that. And then chasing down these SCVs as well is an excellent choice. I like that. Tank going to get more kills. 73 kills now on that tank. And that's it. You won. So congratulations on winning this game, Mark. Thanks for sending it in. I hope a lot of my tips have helped here. Again, just as a Zerg player, what I can tell you is you need to drone up when you're safe and make armies when you're not. It's really hard to do. It's hard to figure out exactly how to do that. I can definitely understand it, but if you see things from the Terran player, you can figure out times when you're safe. If you see that early command center, you're safe to drone up. If you see a whole bunch of Vikings, you're safe to drone up. The Vikings aren't going to kill you necessarily that early in the game. So the composition, again, is important for the Terran player as well. You saw all these barracks. You made Lings and Banelings. That was good. You kind of overmade them, though. You didn't feel safe. I understand that. That'll come later. But once we switched over into these tanks and into this Viking play, a Roach Hydra composition would be really good as well. Again, expand more. Take gas. These are things you can do at the same time. Don't make as many Lings. Look at this. You lost 419 Lings. If you'd gone Roach Hydra here, I promise you, you would not have lost this many units, to be absolutely sure. So, again, I hope this has been useful. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments or send me an email at FalconPaladin@gmail.com. We can discuss it further. Regardless, this has been Falcon Paladin with yet another daily Blizzard upload. This one was more educational in nature. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a player new to StarCraft 2, and even if you weren't, I hope it was kind of a fun game to watch. It was definitely very odd, which is what you see at the lower levels sometimes. You can catch me, Falcon Paladin, on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. All at /FalconPaladin. Very easy to find that way. And until next time, as always, you take care of yourself.